Moms today are more socially connected than any previous generation. Think about it. All you and I have to do is stand in the checkout aisle to see pictures of perfect houses, perfect bodies, and perfect families splashed on the front of the magazines. The headlines promise us perfection. All of that perfection causes us to put on masks. We're afraid to be honest about our true selves. Much of the time, it's fear of judgment that keeps us from being honest with other moms. We fear what others will think. We fear being found out, that we're not as together on the inside as maybe we portray on the outside. We fear being criticized. We fear being rejected. Let's be honest here. Some of that fear is valid. Sometimes criticism does happen. Sometimes gossip stings. Sometimes we're the ones doing the judging. But unfortunately, what happens is that fear isolates us. We're sure that nobody has ever felt this way, or nobody has ever experienced the things that we're experiencing. And then what it does is it keeps us from the very relationships that we crave. So Karen, you have written a book called Let It Go. And I think it has some similarities to No More Perfect Moms. And what is it about Let It Go where you are really kind of looking at this cultural image of perfection?
Yes, Let It Go is about pursuing control in our lives, whether we're trying to control our kids, our husbands, our circumstances. And I think so often at the root of that is we're trying to control, maybe not because we're pursuing perfection, but we're pursuing the appearance of perfection. We want others to think we have it all together. So we kick it into high gear and we become controlling.
Right. Have you ever thought about how fear plays into that control at all?
Well, I think sometimes we're afraid our kids won't appear perfect to others, or we're afraid that we won't appear physically like the images we see in the magazines. I think really a lot of it is we fear that we can't keep up with the Joneses. Even though, a long time ago, our moms, they only saw the Joneses a few times a week. What really plays into it is that we see them 24/7 now. They parade before us on Facebook, on the internet, and we see somebody, post something that their child just won Honor Student of the Year. While I'm just hanging up with the vice principal who called to say my son performed an inappropriate prank. Not that that's ever happened in my house. But I so fear that I won't be like them. I won't be that perfection that I see. But what we need to realize is we're comparing our reality to that appearance of perfection that we see in social media.
I know. I agree, because I often have those feelings. When I go onto Facebook or I see something and things at my home aren't going just the way that I want them to. What do you think is at the heart of control?
I really feel in writing this book and researching it and interviewing a lot of women that at the root of why we over-control is we don't trust God. We think we know better than He does what is best for us, and so we seek to do His job for Him because we don't quite think He's got it all under control, even though, theologically and in our mind we know that He does. We want to help Him along a little bit. So we jump in there and we cross that line from being conscientious, which is a good thing, to being controlling, which is trying to manipulate the outcome. And now we're trying to do His job. We don't trust God. That's why we control.
Oh, that's huge. Any last thoughts you'd like to leave?
I just think for women to realize that it can be a thrilling ride, learning how to live out of control, to not have to always be calling the shots and making all the decisions. It not only will make their life easier, it makes less work for us when we don't have to be in control of everything and have everything done just so, but it also really deepens our walk with the Lord when we learn to stop running the show and start walking in faith.
Love that. Our longing to do life perfectly keeps us bound up trying to keep our image up and our masks on, trying to keep what's real covered by what's ideal. But what if we took off the masks? What if instead of covering up what we lack, we'd actually ask for help? What if instead of wishing for more house, we'd make our house more welcoming? What if instead of stressing over our kids' issues, we were thankful for their uniqueness? What if instead of crabbing about our spouse, we remembered why we fell in love with him in the first place? What if instead of operating out of pride, we could be honest, even humble? What if we gave up perfect and took on authentic? So who do we need to be honest with? Well, first, ourselves. We need the courage to admit that perfection is impossible. We need to learn to cut ourselves some slack, see ourselves through eyes of grace, love ourselves, imperfections included. Then we need to be honest with others. Once we realize what we can and can't do, we need to give the same grace to others. And what a gift that is. In fact, I've experienced that personally. I'm a public person, and my marriage went through a great trial. My husband left, and honestly, I didn't want to be honest with anybody, not even myself. But I chose to be honest. I chose to share that with my friends on my blog and on Facebook. And I braced myself for the criticism and the judgment that was surely to follow. But instead, I found an outpouring of grace and encouragement. In fact, I found that God was using my pain to help others that were in pain. And I began to experience that grace from God Himself. That's how God sees us, through eyes of grace. It's as if He's saying, stop striving as if you're trying to accomplish something, but instead live in my grace. Yes, do motherhood, even with excellence, but more than anything, enter into an authentic relationship with me and with others.